Is college worth it? What should you really major in? And does it matter if you go to an elite Ivy League school or community college? My name is Shama Hyder, CEO of Zen Media, and I wanted to weigh in on the recent college scandal, which I believe is our outrage is deeply misdirected. I wrote a piece on Inc. for this, so I wanted to share my thoughts because honestly, one of the top questions I get from all of you guys is, and many, of course, students, the question that I constantly get is, what should I major in? Should I go abroad to study? Like, it seems like this question of what do I do next with my life when I turn 18 or graduate out of high school tends to be one of the questions that we put so much pressure on, and we fundamentally make that a crucial focus point of our life, whether right or wrong. So I just wanted to be able to share my sentiments and answer this once and for all. So the next time one of you good folks asks me my opinion, I can simply send you the link to this video and you can hear exactly my take on it. So for those of you who don't know what the college scandal involves, essentially the federal government has indicted a high-profile group of parents, from Hollywood actors to CEOs, for bribing college officials, being part of this entire scheme just to get their students into the right college, whatever that means. So what I find fascinating is, of course, we as a society are so focused on this idea of, this outrage, this moral outrage of privilege and power, and how dare these parents use their money and influence to give their kids an advantage. But I think, there's a different way to look at this, and that's not to say that I'm for it. I believe that we should all have more integrity in how we work and go about our lives. So I'm not saying that these parents shouldn't be held accountable or anything of that sort. I'm just saying if we put that aside for a second, we have to step back and look at why did they do this, right? What's the motive? And parents really do put so much pressure and go nuts, honestly, sometimes about getting their kids into the right college. In fact, I saw this over and over with my own peer group as people graduated high school and put so much pressure on themselves to choose just the right school and what major they were going to follow and all these things. And honestly, I just think that college in so many ways is overrated and in so many ways is underrated. And here's what I mean by that. If you think that college is going to be your ticket to success, you are gravely mistaken. I'm not one of these people who says college is terrible and no one should go. I do believe higher education is broken because we focus so much on the degree or the major, or we feel like if we just get through these 4 years, whatever we get at the end of it, that degree, that piece of paper will help set us up for life. And this isn't always true. In fact, I can tell you that most of the entrepreneur friends that I have, many of them are dropouts. Others went to community college or schools that you may not have even heard of, but they worked very hard and they made the most of those opportunities. So if you are lucky enough to go to a school that gives you great opportunities, by all means, make the most of that opportunity. But if you're not, or feel like that's the only path to success, I really hope that you will rethink what that means. I'll share my own story. I was 18 years old. I had graduated from a magnet program for media arts and technology. I was very excited. And I had a full ride to the University of Texas at Austin and at the McCombs School of Business, which is very prestigious, one of the top business programs in the country. And I was truly excited about it. But I also had this other passion, which was almost kind of secret because I feel like we're not an and culture, we're very an or culture. You pick a lane and you stay in it. So I loved cosmetology, and I loved hair and makeup and very girly stuff, and I enjoyed both things equally. So when I went to my parents, I said, I've got this full ride, I'm considering it, but I've also gotten the sort of itch to follow this passion for cosmetology, and what do you think? And remember, this is, guys, before YouTube, makeup celebs, Insta influencers, there was none of this, right? This is 2003. That world didn't exist yet. And I was very surprised when my parents said, well, do whatever makes you happy. If you want to go to cosmetology school, go to cosmetology school. And this is particularly surprising because my parents are immigrant parents. We moved here from India when I was 9 years old. And I had a lot of friends whose parents came from a similar background, and they were very much said, you have three options: doctor, engineer, or lawyer. And my parents just didn't follow that suit, and I'm so grateful. So they encouraged me to go to cosmetology school. I also had a boyfriend at the time who said, no way, you go to school, you go to college, you got a 4-year ride. And to his point, that was fair too. It was a good point, right? I did have a good scholarship, and I went that route. As 18-year-olds, your boyfriend's opinion always outweighs your parents' opinion. So I went to grad school. I ended up getting my bachelor's, and then ended up going to graduate school. I got a master's degree in organizational communication and technology from the University of Texas. I loved every minute of it. I loved my program. I loved my professors and my peers. It was a great experience. I wouldn't change it for the world. In fact, I actually got to speak at my alma mater a few years ago, and it was really fulfilling. So I love that experience. I love being able to say that, I've been to college, I've had that experience. Funny thing is, years later, I looked to my parents and I said, well, look where all this got me. Like, I got through school, I started my own successful marketing and PR firm, I've got best-selling books. Guys, like, I can't believe you were just gonna let me go to cosmetology school. And they said, well, why not? You would have been just as successful, just in a different field. And it really made me sort of stop and think, because what they were saying to me was, it wasn't the career path I had chosen. It wasn't even college. It was the fact that I always liked working hard, and I really threw myself into whatever I did. So I was never the smartest student. So if you're watching this and thinking, oh, sure, but you got all A's. No, not at all. I was not in the gifted and talented program. My sister was. She was the brilliant one. I was just a hardworking kid who found a lot of hacks to do well at school, and I enjoyed it. I think my parents did a great job in allowing us to enjoy our education and learning. And so I was curious, and I loved to learn, and I'm so glad I went down that path. But they made an excellent point. Had I gone a different path, maybe today this would have been like a makeup video. It would have been a completely different empire built on something else. But it wouldn't have made it any less powerful. So I think it's very important to realize that, whether you're a student thinking about what do you major in, where do you go to school, it's so much more what you do when you get there. If, whatever your major is, who are your professors? Are these people that you deeply respect? What are you going to take from this? When I went to school, I didn't just expect to take my classes and get a job. I went to every conference I could find out there, which, by the way, a neat little hack. Do you know, as a student, you could almost email any conference organizer out there and say, hey, can you volunteer? And they'll let you into the conference for free. Professionals that pay thousands and thousands of dollars, you can attend for free if you just volunteer and learn. And so it's very important that you take responsibility of your own career, starting with your education, regardless of whether that's a traditional college route or one that you create for yourself. So I hope that we as a society start rethinking what it means to pursue higher education, that it doesn't always have to be college, and a degree really doesn't mean anything unless you make something of it. So at the end of the day, it really does come down to you. Hope you enjoyed this.